but I want to share this presentation with you. It is correlating the brain and the gut. You know, a lot of people will tell you that the brain has nothing to do with the gut. You know, they'll say, oh, it's all in your head. No, it's not all in your head. Can you all see what it says here? Your brain, when you exercise, this is with exercise, this is without exercise. There's a big difference, folks. There's a big, big difference. Matter of fact, today when I was listening to the radio, they had this story on there about this Christian missionary who had this big voyage over to India. And he was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And he thought, well, I'm going to have to get some exercise. And on the ship, he said there wasn't really any way you could exercise. But they found one exercise, and try to guess what it was, that they could actually do that improved their health. Exactly, you heard it? No, jump rope.
Jumping rope.
Oh, you saw it? Yeah, jump rope. And his health skyrocketed. Exercise is so important that the brain and the gut go together, okay? There was this health person years ago, back in 18-something, she actually said that if you eat animal flesh, then you actually can bring on those characteristics. And you think, what? You mean if I'm eating a pig or a cow or, you know, but whatever that animal, whatever disease that animal had, you can get it. And I want you to think back, and I know you all know about the scripture. Think about what was the very first food that the Heavenly Father gave us. We could eat from what tree? Fish. We could eat what?
Tree of life.
The tree of what?
A lot.
Tree of life. Now think about it for a minute. Our blood is made up from what? What you eat. Your blood is made up from what you eat. But your food is only digested if you chew it. Okay? But you can also put it on down the stomach and this type of thing, but it's not as good if you don't chew it. All digestion starts in the mouth. I'm going to show you a little video clip of this man. He's a doctor. Now, how many of you have known anybody that's ever had a stroke and they've been paralyzed and they can't move? You know that. Well, this doctor actually found what would help people who had strokes, and they can move thereafter. And guess what it is? Just try to guess what it is. It's a food. How many of you have heard of wheatgrass? Wheatgrass. Wheatgrass, if you look it up, is one of the most nutritional foods you can get. I shared with my husband a video, and after he saw it, he thought, whoa. But you can, now they say it can actually make your hair grow back to the original color. I don't know. But this doctor actually showed, and I'm going to show you the little video clip, how these people who could not move for years, they can do it now. But he showed something that most people don't show. It begins in the mouth. He said a lot of people will drink, and I know I used to do this, but after I watched this little video clip, I thought, hey, I'm going to chew mine. Right. He said that if you actually chew it, he says that's where people mess up. They don't chew their juices. They don't chew like the wheatgrass juice. Okay? But I'm going to show you a little video on that in just a few minutes. But I want to go over this for a minute. How many of you have ever had like the brain freeze? Notice the little boy here? It's like, ooh. Now, what's causing that brain freeze?
Cold.
The cold. But where do you feel it first?
In the eyes.
In the eyes. Some people feel it in the eyes. Some people feel it in the mouth. Some people feel it in the stomach. A lot of people say, what I eat, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my brain. it affects our brain big time. Very, very much so. When we find the smoke, put out the fire. Don't try to control the smoke. All drugs try to control the smoke. There is no such thing as a drug that heals. You'll notice that on the commercials, they even say, for your symptoms. They never say, this will cure this. But then they give you a whole list of side effects, and one of them is possibly what?
Death.
Exactly. And you think, how dumb can people be? Food maps the destiny of our brain health. Folks, garbage in, garbage out. Years ago, when I used to teach special education, and when I used to teach the gifted, I had these 2 boys in my class. They were what they call Asperger. They were extremely smart, but they were autistic. And so I did research on them. And I was amazed. I found that in England, they were actually curing autism. And I thought, what are they doing? They found that the gut, that the people 9 times out of 10 who came down with autism, they were not breastfed. There's something in the breastfeeding, the breast milk, that will actually take care of it. But they also showed that a lot of times, if they had gotten their immunization, it messed them up. So, making it short, they said what was really causing it was the gut was messed up. The good bacteria wasn't in there, it was just bad bacteria. So what they would do, they would put the people on a good plant-based diet, and they would change the gut. As far as they would give them like acidophilus, vegan acidophilus, this type of thing. And these people would say the very thing I told my daughter when I saw my first autistic child. I said, you know, it's like somebody's sitting on their brain and they can't get out. When I read this research and this woman said, you know, it was like something sitting on my brain and I couldn't get out. But it was all related to the gut. But folks, the one thing I noticed with all the autistic children, they crave cheese. They would eat the cheese because, see, it keeps feeding their problem. They would eat the cheese off the pizza and throw the pizza away. But anyway, we're going to run through this. The fire is the inflammation. We have to work on what? Not on the smoke, but downstream. Folks, inflammation is what causes all of our diseases, every one of our diseases. And you think, well, what's inflammation? What is inflammation? If something's inflamed, then there's only 2 things that will cause pain. Too much blood or not enough blood going to a certain area. And if your blood is toxic, you know where it says the life is in the blood, the death is also in the blood? This is why God said, never, never eat the blood of an animal. When you eat that blood, if that blood has leukemia, if that animal has leukemia, whatever that animal has, we can come down with it. Now I want you to think for a minute on the spiritual part of it. And I thought of this today when I was cooking some of this food. And folks, if you like the food, feel free to go back, get seconds and thirds. And there's more pie in the refrigerator too if you need it. The tree of life, we were able to eat from the tree of life before sin. All right, the Savior gave what for our sins? His what? Blood. Now his blood was made up of what? What he had ate, the tree of life. You know, he was actually giving us life again, because what happens at the very end, we get to eat again from the tree of life. Because remember, we were taken away from the tree of life because if we ate it in our sin state, what would happen? We would live as what? Sinners forever, and nobody wants to do that. Nobody. Okay, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, they're all inflammation. Inflammation does not begin in the brain, but the gut, and you can see this. That's why food choices are so very, very important. The gut mediates the inflammation in the body. And you can see, I won't go into all this, but it really does. In massage therapy, I always like to massage the gut. And I have one of my students, she was telling one of my supervisors, she goes, yes, you know, after I get a massage from Misty, I always go to the bathroom. Because it was actually, and when you massage your stomach, your abs, always do it clockwise. If you do it counterclockwise, you stop yourself up. And folks, massage is very, very powerful. Inflammation is when the lining of the gut becomes leaky. You've heard people who say there's a leaky gut. Well, whenever there's inflammation in our gut, then what happens? It leaks out into the blood. And then there's toxins which leak out into the blood. And then our blood, then it goes into the brain and all these other places that we don't want it to go. And this just talks about there's 100 trillion microbes that are, and this is what we have to eat and take care of every day. Like if we do not feed our good cells, then they will die. We damage our gut lining when we damage the bacteria. Okay? Now, anytime, like what Jerry brought, and what a lot of you brought, the very best way to eat our food is fresh fruits, apples, nuts, and grains. Fresh, fresh, fresh. The very, very best. Full of enzymes, feeds our body. When we cook them, we lose the enzymes. But if we eat something that's already been ate, like if we eat eggs, meat, milk, or cheese, then our body feeds it, our body treats it as something that is against us. Especially milk. Like if we drink cow's milk, there's a heavy protein in there. It's a protein which is not what our body can assimilate like it should, and it will actually fight it. It's amazing how God made our bodies. They will show you right here inflammation, like these things over here, the pineapple, turmeric, spinach, chocolate, cherries, avocado. They're really good for the brain and for the joints. But over here you got your fried foods, your meat, processed meats. And we can't, a lot of people just say, well, you know, I'm not worried about what I eat. I'm worried about my brain. My child has autism. Or this person has has autism, not autism. Okay, now I'm having a brain. Alzheimer's, thank you. Alzheimer's and dementia. Well, this man actually showed that you can, by getting the flora, the bacteria, together in your gut, that you can start reversing it. And doctors are reversing it. They first just started, and they started them on a plant-based diet. But they also use, like, you'll see sauerkraut, many different things. But these are heavy metals. Now, there's something in the food back here that pulls out heavy metals. Who knows what food back here is pulling out heavy metals?
Cilantro.
Cilantro, exactly. It pulls out heavy metals. Fluoride, artificial sweeteners, they're really, really bad. People who ever have, you always have to watch your blood sugar when you have Alzheimer's. They're all together. Good fats.
Dave, would you back up to that one? I didn't have time to read it.
I'm sorry.
Can you read it?
The blood, when blood sugar is elevated, we are more prone to Alzheimer's.
My blood sugar is important.
Right. Why blood sugar is important to families with Alzheimer's history. Because it does elevate, you know. Good fats, do you know your brain, you're going to see here in a minute, your brain is 70% fat. And you know, do you notice today a lot of people, I know years ago when they came out with all this no fat, no fat, no fat, that a lot of people were going through divorces and they were having all kinds of problems. And I know one community, and you might have heard of this, Willis, it was out in Loma Linda. There was a group of people, they all went off all fats. And the divorce rate skyrocketed. But then the people put fat, good fat, which is like avocados and this type of thing, back into their diet, and the divorce rate went down. And you think, well, what's that got to do with it? It's got everything to do with it. And another good fat, almonds. Almonds are super good for us. Sauerkraut, that has that good microbiotic stuff we want. Dandelions, they will actually heal because they have vitamin B17 vitamins, which will also improve the brain. The gut bacteria, 90%, like a lot of people don't realize, dopamine, you know, whenever you're out in the sun, you get the good sunshine, you get the vitamin D, and your body starts making all this stuff, and you actually can sleep better. But they have actually found that 90% of all these things are made in your gut. And a lot of people say, well, you know, I was born, my mother had diabetes, my mother had cancer, but my mother didn't have all this. But they'll say all these things. Well, there's a difference between loading the gun and pulling the trigger. We pull the trigger when we mess up on our lifestyle. And folks, we all do it sometimes, but we try not to. Autism is not a disease. Don't try to cure us. Try to understand us. No. It's not a disease. It's a gut problem. And no, there's no such thing as trying to understand them, folks. Socially, a person, and there's different degrees of autism, okay, as you all know. Like you can give them, you can promise them anything, and it doesn't help. They can't help the way they act. You know, I had a little boy that he would spit on the girls. That's how he got their attention. And I told him, I said, Sean, do you want to get married someday? Oh, yes, Miss D. I said, honey, you cannot spit on a girl and think she's going to marry you. So anyway, and he could not relate to it, you know. Some folks call the gut the second brain. Well, I want to call our mouth the third brain. It is so very, very important because these saliva, these juices right here, we have got to give them. There was a lady they interviewed on one of the radio shows, and they asked her, they said, and she was like 100-some years old. They asked her, they said, what was your secret? She said, I always chew my food to a mush. She was putting all that good saliva in it, which was very, very important. Do you know, I heard a preacher preaching the other day, and he was making fun of this doctor, Dr. Kellogg. Have any of you heard of him? This preacher was saying, you know, Dr. Kellogg was actually the father of mastication. He would put Henry Ford and, who was the other guy? Firestone. He would put them on a meal and he'd say, I want you to chew that food 100 times before you swallow. And then they got better. Okay. There's a big difference between feeding the cell and feeding our appetite. What's the difference? If you drink juice, if you get juice like fresh squeezed juice, and you drink it and it's feeding your cells, and you feel really, really good. You will actually, like if you were trying to diet, and you drank fresh squeezed juice like carrot juice, beet juice, and you know cyclists, they really get into the beet juice big time because it feeds your muscles. But if you took that, let's say you drank Coke, you just drank a lot of Coke, would you be feeding your appetite or your cells? Appetite. You'd be destroying your cells. All right, now there are certain foods that are so full of toxins, like pork, clam, lobster, catfish. And I'm going to show you a few videos. I'm going to show them to you at the end. I was going to put them through it, but I didn't get it all done. Now there's one meat that God says, don't touch. What meat is that?
Pork.
Now why does he say that?
It's a scavenger.
It's a scavenger. And like people will say, well, Dee, why did God make it? I said, he made it for the same reason he made the buzzard. The buzzard goes around and cleans things up. The pig goes around and cleans things up. Do you know just by, like if you prick your little finger and you touch that raw pork, that little chiquina worm can go up in there and you will have trichinosis. I was going to show you, but I could not find, if I can find the one, I'll show them both to you. But if you look, and you can look it up online, you look at the picture of what the brain, and you're going to see it here in a few minutes, what the brain worm looks like that you can get from trichinosis. And then if you look at the brain of a person who has been ate up with the brain worm, then you look at the brain of a person who has Alzheimer's, they look the same. That is amazing, but it doesn't amaze me because I have been asking God about it, because remember some of you, I told you about what happened to me years ago, about when I grew up, we ate a lot of pork, we ate a lot of garbage. I mean, I'm sorry to say, we ate some bad stuff. And I went to a, has everybody heard this story? If you haven't, I'm not going to tell.
I haven't heard it.
If you haven't heard it, I'm going to tell you real quick. I went to a doctor's farm. As a matter of fact, I worked for this doctor later. And this doctor, there were like 10 of us there. And he checked each and every one of us for trichinosis. And we didn't know who was vegetarian and who was not. Well, we knew we were all vegetarian there now. And see, I've been a vegetarian for 20-some years when he gave me this test. And so when he tested me, I came up that I had trichinosis. And I thought, what? Wait, no, I could not have trichinosis. I have not ate pork in 20-some years. He says, Dee, you have got it. And there was another, and then there was a guy that had it. Come to find out, we were the only two that had been raised eating pork. None of these other people had ever ate pork. And he told me what to do, and I did it. But he never told me what would happen. 2 weeks into this therapy, it was like somebody went, I could think better than I had ever thought in my life. I thought, wow, God, this is great. But see, you have to do it for a whole month. And by the end of the month, I was a believer. I thought, wow, I did have trichinosis. And folks, it's very, very easy to contact it. And for some reason, that little trichina worm will hibernate, and it goes into the muscle. And if you go to my website, rocksolidhealthfitness.com, and go down to videos, you'll see a video clip. They actually show it microscopic, okay? But it can be gotten rid of. But a lot of people die of heart attacks. A lot of people die of a lot of different problems, and all it is just that little trichina worm. This doctor also, when he was doing his residency, he had to do all the autopsies on the patients who had had heart attacks. Every one of them had the trichina worm in it. Folks, if God says don't touch it, he means it. When I found out the part about the little pricking the finger, when I found that out, at the time I was working in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was teaching food service. And I was teaching the students how to work out in restaurants and tea rooms and stuff. I took pork out of my classroom. I said, I am not going to be responsible for these children dying someday. Okay, we said that. Parasites. Okay, this one right here. Artichoke apples have probiotic fiber that helps with the metabolism of vitamins. Andrew? Anthony. Anthony brought apples back here. Apples are so good for us. They clean our teeth. The old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. It does. It really does. Onions, garlic, apples, they heal the blood-brain barrier. Do you know something that's destroying our blood-brain barrier, or that goes through it, I should say, that goes through it? Chuck works with it a lot. Your cell phones, it goes through our brain barrier. It can cause a lot of problems. Okay, folks, I'm going to how many of you are going to get a flu shot? I'm going to show you something better than the flu shot. Have you heard about the onion? Did I tell you about cutting it and putting it around? There was a scientist that had went to this farmer's place, and he saw that there was cut onions all over the place, and he said, well, what are these for? And the farmer said, this is to absorb the flu virus. And this scientist said, really? So he asked him, he said, well, can I take one of these back and put them underneath the microscope? And so he did, and guess what was in it? The flu virus. So what I'm doing nowadays, I cut this, and then I put it around, and it makes the house smell like onions, which smells good. But you got to change it out every so often. This is why they tell you to do not cut an onion and put it in a refrigerator and leave it there, because it pretty well will absorb everything. Onions are super good for us, super, super good. Matter of fact, if you think you're coming down sick, try to chew an onion. And we have the apples, the lemons. How many of you know what this is? You can't see it very good. This is called comfrey. Have any of you ever heard of comfrey? Comfrey is super, super good. I'm going to pass this around. It's kind of wilted a little bit. All right, more than 70% of our DNA that's what we have. Our code for health and longevity is affected by our lifestyle. Our food choices affect directly the health of our gut. All right, 8 laws of health, what are they?
Nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance,
Right.
prayer, rest, trust, and bonfire.
Exactly. Folks, lifestyle, they have found, you can, the 8 laws of health, believe it or not, they're like the tip of the iceberg, but as you study them, I firmly believe that anything with God's help, with the 8 laws of health, can be ratified, corrected, I should say. Okay? But if we don't get our sleep, like, there's a lifeguard where I work, that poor boy, you can tell he hasn't had any sleep. He says, I don't really need to sleep. I said, you do. Do you know your food does not go to the lowest cell until you sleep? It is after midnight. I mean, it's before midnight. The hours between 6 and 12 midnight are double those thereafter. Sleeping is so important. Water, exercise, all those that are on my website. Okay. Have you noticed, and I know Jody and I was talking about this, whenever you are in the winter, you notice it's harder to lose weight. It seems like you start putting it on. We almost feel sometimes like we're the bear, you know, bears, but they have actually found that our bacteria, our gut, like apples thicken. You notice apples thicken our blood, and it's apples that are usually in season in the winter. But you notice that we lose weight usually in the spring. That our gut lining, our gut actually changes. Our whole body changes. Do you know in 1 year we have totally, let me see all this. We're going to go through this real quick. All right, here's what I'm going to do. Within 1 year, we have a whole new body. All right, the brain, the skin, the leaky gut affects the whole body. And I mean, you can tell people, well, your arthritis, you can get rid of it. The doctor said I can. Oh, okay. Case, if that's the way you feel.
You can get rid of arthritis?
You definitely.
How do you do it?
You have to change your lifestyle totally. Okay. You have to be a vegan, because the anything like the meat actually has so much uric acid in it that it starts messing up your joints. And I have it on my website. It's but what?
low protein, not a lot of beans, nuts, seeds. Those are high concentrated proteins. That's what causes arthritis. You can be a sick vegan too.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
And so
Fried
a lot of
foods.
leafy greens, any kind of dark greens. Romaine lettuce is really good, cabbage is really good. The
Right.
more you eat raw, the better. Do it for a week and see if your arthritis pain goes away.
Can I
Go ahead.
talk my experience? I started having arthritis. I started having shots in my shoulder, on my knees, everything. The doctor said, you have arthritis, you need to have a
Knee
celebration
replacement.
for life. But I saw in the internet something about flaxseed, and I started having 2 spoons of flaxseed in a little bit of orange juice, and my flaxseed powder. Everything went away. The doctor couldn't believe it because the X-ray showed that I have arthritis. I don't have anything. So I keep it now. I have it about more than 6 years that I have flaxseed. Now I have like twice a week, 3 times a week, 2 spoons of flaxseed and a little bit of orange juice.
Yeah,
Took my arthritis.
because what she
Now
was
she
doing-
makes me take it too.
Now
what she's actually doing, she's actually lubricating her joints, which is what she needed
yes,
to do.
a job.
Because arthritis is bone going against bone. What I had to do, my big problem was I liked white sugar. And I was vegetarian, not vegan. And I got off of white sugar, off of white flour, totally had a different diet, you know, fruits, nuts, grains, and vegetables. And for like about a month, I took a tablespoon of olive oil. But I could not eat fried foods. Because see, fried foods actually would, because they're not metabolized like other things. But the doctor couldn't believe mine went away, totally. And I mean, I was hobbling into the doctor because my ankle was totally out. I'd be in a wheelchair today. And I asked him, I said, what can I do? He says, there's nothing you can do except take aspirins and bear the pain. I thought, forget that. I'll change my diet. I don't have to eat those white sugar cookies. But see, most people are going to take a drug. They're not going to change.
They don't want to change the lifestyle.
Exactly. It's all about our lifestyle. But you know, with God, we can do anything. Okay, the gut, the brain, the body. You see, you notice this little, okay, this is showing you the whole, like some people get their gallbladder taken out, get their tonsils taken out. Do you notice that a lot of people are having problems with their thyroids today? Do you know what helps the thyroids? The tonsils. And see, a lot of people don't have their tonsils because back when I was growing up, it was a big thing, take your tonsils out. If God put it there, we need it, folks. Okay, taste, smell, hearing, touch, vision, it all is affected. Our gut and our brain go together. I'm going to show you this before we go. Okay, the nervous system. Have you ever seen anybody that's ever had a nervous breakdown? It's rough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very rough. And anybody can have a nervous breakdown. Women, especially after they have children, they can have nervous breakdowns. It's actually an overload on our system. And any of us can have, like I say, a nervous breakdown.
So is the postpartum depression, is that a nervous breakdown?
It feels like it, it does. It does. It could be, yeah, really, I would say it was. But see, what happens sometimes when women go through postpartum, they go into full-blown nervous breakdown. And some women never recover. And that's sad. You know, some women
Improving
just...
the exercise though, I would exercise, because I've been through depression 3 times, and exercise will pull you right up, you just gotta make yourself do it.
Exactly,
You have to,
exactly.
it's a physical, it's a body thing. The more that you sit, the more that you just slump, the more toxins that are still flowing through you, everything that's happening. So when you exercise, what do? You drink.
The more water you drink, the more you flush through. So you exercise and you drink water, you exercise and drink water, and the depression just.
Exactly. It's like that
Fresh
man.
air, the sunshine.
Right.
Also.
All of them
But it's
together.
also a seasonal effectiveness disorder. That's a real thing. People don't realize that it's real. Because when the sun goes away and it's cold all the time, people automatically get depressed. It's just, you know, it's been proven, it's real. So, you know, you have to take extra vitamins, vitamin D, things that you don't normally get in the summertime when everybody's happy because they're in the sunshine. When you're stuck inside a house, you're breathing the same air toxins as everybody else, and it's just not good. You gotta stay exercise, you gotta stay drinking and fighting up.
That's right. Was there a hand over here?
You've heard the expression, kale is the new steak. Have you heard the expression in t-shirts that say, kale is the new steak?
Oh, really?
Yes. Well, there's another one, sitting is the new smoking.
Oh, yes, I've seen that. And that's so true. Sitting is new smoking. That is so true. You know, I know you've all probably heard the story about the man who tried to commit suicide. So he started running.
Yeah.
And he ran so far that he felt good after a while. So he thought, well, I'll try it tomorrow. And so he just started exercising. And they have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. And, go ahead.
You know who that is? Dr. Kenneth Cooper, the founder of the Movements.
Yeah.
What did you say when you know about nuts? About the nuts, you said not to eat it or do?
Never eat more than a little handful at a time, not every day.
It says the FDA even says the protein group where the beans, nuts, and meats are, you're not even supposed to eat more than the size of your fist. FDA says you're not supposed to eat more than the size of your fist of the protein group itself.
Americans eat so much meat.
That's where they go wrong.
Like it was amazing. Like, like when I went to India, like meat is just like a supplement, a supplemental protein. In America, like you would never have like a huge hunk of chicken, like we do here.
Right.
Right.
I've been to India.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Some really good American.
Like the best food.
Okay, we know that the 10 Commandments are basically written on every cell of our body. The 8 laws are also written on every cell of our body. And some people say, well, no, wait a minute, that can't be true. Because people have never heard of this. Believe it or not, it is in there.
Last year, out of the Mayo Clinic describes.
Can you hear it?
No.
Sister Circe, larvae, create cavities in the human brain out of body tissue where their tiny bodies grow sometimes into tapeworms 2 to 7 meters in length and can live up to 25 years in the human body. 7 meters means 23 feet long. On MRI, so-called rug holes appear. On CT scan, there can be so many in the brain at one time, it can appear similar to a starry sky. Each star is a fluid-filled cyst with the beginning of a living, growing tapeworm inside. This is what they look like on an autopsy. This is what their face looks like. They have these rings of hooks to grab onto our brain tissue. Here, a review was published by the CDC on the public health implications of cysticercosis acquired in the United States. Pork tapeworms on the brain has emerged as a cause of severe neurologic disease in the United States. Even after pork tapeworm larvae infect our brain, some people remain asymptomatic for their lives, while others without symptoms and then suddenly become very ill. Seizures, headaches, and other vocal neurological deficits as the larvae multiply within the nervous system and other tissues and can cause sudden death just due to the pressure buildup in the brain.
And folks, that's just from eating that bacon or ham that you wanted to eat. Folks, you will go out and get wheatgrass after this.
My name is Chris Reynolds. I've been working as a general practitioner in Australia since about 1973. In the past 19 years I've been working with a wheatgrass extract, which I've used on many, many different patients for different conditions, in particular for the successful healing of wounds and burns. But I've also used it on tendon and muscular issues when the muscles are too tight and it loosens them up in many cases. In fact, the next slide will show an example of a patient with burns contractures and how he recovered quite rapidly, in fact in about 10 minutes after the application of the wheatgrass extract. This patient suffered severe burns to the front of his chest and down his arms about 3 months before these pictures were taken. And he was unable to move his arms above the horizontal. We couldn't go any further than that because of the contractures across his chest, holding his arms down. And I applied some of the wheatgrass extract across this area of his arms and actually the armpit here. And about 10 minutes later, he was able to lift his arms to the vertical, as you can see in the second picture. This again is a defied explanation. I'd never seen anything like that in my life before in my clinical career, where we don't see too many phenomena. Now, due to the commonly held belief that established brain damaged patients rarely, if ever, recover, it never occurred to me to see if wheatgrass extract would make any difference to these patients' ability to move their limbs. However, as you will see in the following video clips, I now have reason to seriously question this irreversibility. You will see clear evidence of recovery of active muscle and joint movement, as well as sensation in a stroke patient. Also, you will see recovery in joint movement in a young child suffering the long-term effects of bacterial meningitis. I saw both of these patients in January 2014 at the Visay Sai Health Centre in Fiji while working as a volunteer. I captured the video clips by mobile phone. Boyer attended for a condition unrelated to his stroke. He had a marked deformity of his left hand, which was clenched tightly, and he was unable to bend his elbow, and his arm was quite flaccid. He could not move the arm out from the side of he couldn't move his arm at all. He had no movement. And he also had a markedly deformed left foot, which was due to tendon contraction and muscle contraction, distorting the normal mechanics of the foot and ankle. More as an afterthought, I said to him, do you mind if I put some of this extract, this wheatgrass extract, on your hand? Not thinking for 1 minute that it would work. And he was quite happy about that, and I did, and I actually had to force the cream, it's in a cream form, into underneath his fingers, like this, because his fingers were tightly clenched. There was no movement there at all. And not expecting any kind of response, I was absolutely amazed when about 5 minutes later he started to open his fingers and his thumb. And you will see this in the next video clip. This is the original position before we placed the wheatgrass cream on. So the gentleman now will try to open his hand. So if you can just open your hand now, can you do that?
Nice works.
Is that better than you had before?
Yeah.
And now he's got full extension of his thumb. And when did you have your stroke? 5 years ago?
5 years ago.
When I saw him a few minutes ago, he had complete flexion of all those digits, and he was unable to extend them at all. 5 days after this incident, I visited Boyer at his home, and by his own initiative, he had used the extract that I'd given him and applied it to his own shoulder and his elbow, to his arm generally. And he found after, he said about 5.5 hours, he was able to then move his arm out from the side and to move his elbow. And the next video will confirm that. Could you just move your left arm out from the side? No, just no, straight out from, all right, that's something. Could you do that on last week when I saw you 4 days ago? Could you move your arm out that way when I saw you before we used the wheatgrass cream?
After using the cream.
After using the cream?
Yeah.
How long after using the cream were you able to do that?
About 5.5 hours.
5.5 hours after you used that. Okay, now I'd like you to walk across the floor. Boyer is now demonstrating how difficult it is for him to walk. He's walking on the side of his foot because of the contractures on his foot and his ankle. And he's walking also on the tips of his toes because he can't put his foot flat on the floor. He's also finding it very difficult to move forward. So it's a slow and painful process for him to walk anywhere. Is that how you normally walk?
Yeah.
You have to, like, shuffle.
Okay.
You can't walk any faster than that?
No.
Okay, just keep walking for me. Okay. Now Boyer demonstrates how he can stand without assistance. Before, he always had to have somebody to pull him up out of the chair. He stands up abruptly and with ease. And then he demonstrates how he used to walk and how he's walking now on the flat of his foot and not on the end of his toes and on the side of the foot.
No pain here.
No pain there?
No pain here.
Yep.
I can walk, see, I can put my legs straight, see.
Yep. Now if you go back again, could you just walk like in a normal way, like the best you can, just put your foot out and then walk? Good. And do you feel that's better than what you could do 20 minutes ago?
It's big difference.
Big difference.
Before they were like this.
Yep.
Like this.
Yep. And now?
And now I can put it straight.
Yes, I can see the difference there. Your foot was turned inwards quite markedly, like that,
Yeah.
And now you've got, so now you've got a full area of foot to walk on.
Yeah.
And you're not walking on the side of your heel.
Yeah, before it was like
Of your
this.
foot. Yep.
Now I can put my whole leg.
Yep. So were you able to support your body on that left foot before?
No, but now I can.
You can. Also, he can show how he can actually stand on one leg, and that's his stroke side, which is something he certainly couldn't do before we used the extract on his leg.
Before when I want to,
Yep.
I have to hold something on top, like this.
You had to hold something,
Yeah.
but now you don't.
No, I don't see.
Can you do that again? You can stand on that one foot.
Yeah, I can now. See.
That's remarkable. On day 10, Boyer arrives in very high spirits to the clinic, where he tells me that he's now driving the family car for the first time in 7 years. This represents a considerable increase or improvement in his quality of life. This is Boyer and his wife, Basan. He's coming over now and he's going to get in the car and drive his wife home.
Eric.
Yeah.
This 4-year-old girl's mother heard about what happened to Boya through the community grapevine, and she came to see me with her 4-year-old daughter who suffered bacterial meningitis when she was 7 months old. Since that time she's been completely spastic in all 4 limbs, and she has no head control, and she has cognition but no speech. So continued intensive physiotherapy eventually managed to enable limb movement. Although her left knee could be bent passively, she was unable to bend it voluntarily. Her mother wondered if wheatgrass extract might help. I promised nothing but offered to try. In this video, I'm applying wheatgrass extract, and within about 5 minutes, towards the end of the clip, much to her mother's delight, Inese suddenly bends her stiff left knee.
Before, the left side never used to respond. This left side always.
It didn't respond.
Never used to respond. It's only the right side.
So she can bend her knee?
Now we do it for her. If we put, like, if we tickle this, she hardly feels it.
Yeah.
This one, yeah.
Yes, okay. Well, we'll just put some under there. And we should pull her. What we'll do the whole leg. Because it's very, very safe, right? That spray you can drink. So she hasn't been able to move that. She hasn't been able to bend that knee at all. So this is about 10 minutes, I suppose. Barely 10 minutes. And now, is she responding to your finger, do you think? She doesn't normally do that. And she's bending her left knee. She doesn't normally bend her left knee. Is that right? Yeah.
She's responding.
She's responding. Where she hasn't responded before. Never. Is that you're saying she's never...
The left side though.
Never responded, but now she's responding. So before, when you scratched her foot, she didn't pull it away. So she's obviously regained some sensation in the sole of her foot. With the way she's bending that knee up, she's making voluntary movements of that left leg, which before was completely stiff and immovable. The improved outcomes of both these patients should not be taken to mean that wheatgrass extract will ease tightened muscles, tendons and ligaments in all brain damaged patients. No one knows what the outcome might be. They are, however, 2 genuine case histories I managed to record. How did wheatgrass work for these 2 patients? I don't think anybody knows, but the rapid response may suggest wheatgrass extract contains bioactive molecules that reactivate dormant neural pathways to the brain, which then responds to stimulate muscle movement. Alternatively, perhaps there are alternative pathways to the brain which so far have not been recognised. Whatever is happening, the response from the brain to remobilise any joint must be comprehensive and substantial. Thank you.
I want to show you one more quick one. He shows you how to eat, how to chew. Now this one's different.
Well, you know, wheatgrass is in a special class as a sprout. You know, it's one of these big sprouts, which we call microgreens, but it's in a special class because it's not edible. It's not edible unless, like I said before, you are a ruminant animal with multi-tier stomachs and you can digest all the fiber in there. So we can't actually chew on wheatgrass and swallow it. But what we can do is extract its juice. And when juice extractors for wheatgrass came along, that started the whole use of this very potent vegetable as a healing food. And Wigmore started to popularize the use of wheatgrass to treat cancer patients back in the late 1950s in Boston. And she didn't know why it was working, but it was working. And these days we have since discovered that wheatgrass, this simple little plant that we see right here, this is very young. It's going to grow maybe to about that height. When juiced and when used on a regular basis in enough quantity so that you get a therapeutic dosage, very important, the difference between an effect and no effect. That juice actually is a powerful liver detoxifier. And think about it. If you had something that could detoxify your liver, this super important organ, which is bigger than the stomach in size in some people, that's going to go a long way to reversing disease. So we've got a strong liver detoxifier, but in addition, we have a powerful blood purifier in wheatgrass. I mean, it is, if you look at the chlorophyll molecule, and it's a rich source of chlorophyll, the chlorophyll molecule and the molecule for heme, part of hemoglobin, are almost essentially the same, except that chlorophyll has magnesium as the bond in that molecule. And blood has iron as the bond in that molecule. So it's a wonderful blood purifier, blood replacement. It's drinking that juice, and it's a terrific colon cleanser as well. It has plant hormones in there that are very powerful for healing skin issues. I have a lot of people who use a wheatgrass cream for that, and they were using it over and over again. I've got some pictures on my website of healing, eczema and psoriasis. So if you think about it, if you had a food that could cleanse your intestines and could rejuvenate your bloodstream and detox your liver, of course you're going to get healthier. A lot of problems fall away because symptoms show up in all kinds of places in the body, but we've got to get to the root cause, and the root cause is often toxicity, often inflammation, and also infestation. So once we start to cleanse the bloodstream, cleanse the intestinal tract, and detoxify the liver, now we're starting to reverse disease, and the symptoms start to disappear because overall we're restoring the body back to its more original healthy state. And that's the way to resolve the little problems, the big picture approach rather than the symptom approach.
The rest of this interview plus much more is available in the Natural News Inner Circle. Join us today.
And then they just go on to show you on another one. He just tells you about chewing and chewing and chewing, which I already told you. Okay. But what we've got about 10 minutes. Let's open it up for just discussion. What do you think, folks? Let me ask you this. How many of you have ever tried ginkgo biloba? Do you know, I heard about 2 people. One man lived to be 170 some. And you never hear anybody that old. And then this other man, he lived to be 125. And I thought, what is in their diet? In their diet, both of them had ginkgo biloba.
How do you get that?
You can get it online. Matter of fact, I buy it by the pound, but I just use it occasionally. I needed to use it.
Did you know Dr. Oz was talking about ginkgo? He's saying that that's how you lose weight. Like everyone's losing dramatic amounts of weight.
Well, it's very good for the brain. You can think so much. And what I'm wondering, if it doesn't have some of this fiber in it that we really need, you know. But folks, remember, the only thing we should take every day is water. Okay, like some people will say, well, you know, this is good, so I'm going to take it every day. Even garlic every day is not good, you know. Switch up, because our diet, we become more full.
I'm not exactly sure. It was probably around 20 years ago. I was giving some lessons to two doctors from Huntsville that did open heart surgery. And they said that they were given these pre-surgery. They were giving these guys some kind of, I don't know if it was wheatgrass, but some kind of wheat pills. And it was remarkable. The recovery was so much easier on the patients and all this kind of. He brought me some over there to try and eat, but I don't know what I did with it. I didn't follow it up, but it must be kind of the same thing, how it affects you.
Well, you know, right down here, let's see here. Right down here on Whitesburg, where Whitesburg and Airport intersect, right across from Publix on the other side, there's a place, it's a juice place, and they will juice you an ounce. They sell the wheatgrass by ounce, the juice, and it's like $2. At Earth Fare, it's $2.50. What I do sometimes is get it and freeze it, and then you can, because it's frozen, you have to, you know, chew it a little bit more.
Yeah, there's a guy in the case that he does it, and that's what he put it in the ice trays, have the cubes like that.
That's the way to do it.
Smaller cups, huh?
It feeds your cells. It's the green, green, green. But kind of notice what Satan tries to do. He puts people on drugs. It doesn't matter what drug we're on, folks. They always damage our liver and our kidneys. Because drugs were not made. And a lot of these vitamins that people go on, folks, a lot of them are synthetic, and our body doesn't know, you know, what's going on here. You know, we always want to do things as natural as we can. And some people say, well, you know, you just cannot get vitamin B12 if you don't eat meat. No, that's not true. If you don't brush your teeth first thing in the morning, then your body actually starts keeping that good stuff, and it makes B12. You know? And also, if you use nutritional yeast, it has prayer before we dismiss. Willis, would you lead us again? Let's everybody stand for prayer, and thank you all for coming, and God bless you. And I'm sorry everything was kind of, it happened, but it was done. But I hope and pray you took away one thing at least. God loves you.
Amen.
And please remember to ask Him to help us through all this. And folks, I hope we'll all be at the Tree of Life eating soon. We won't have to have health support groups. We'll be going, good, isn't it?
Our Father, we come again before thy presence. Just want to thank you for what we heard tonight. And as we leave this place, we grant us traveling mercy back to our destination. Everyone arrive safely and bring us back at the appointed time. Continue to be with us throughout this evening. These and other blessings we ask, and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you all. And if you could